And we are starting with the theory side of it. So welcome to our Pilates instructor certification training. Today is going to be the theories. We're going to get through to the practical. We should still have quite a few people joining us online, but we're going to get started. So by a show of hands here, has anyone here never done Pilates before? Anyone never done Pilates, or have we all done a little bit of Pilates at some point in our life, hopefully? Team, if you can, let's get those cameras on so we can see you, so we can interact. Remember, the more you can interact, the more you can engage with this course, the more you're going to absorb and the more you're going to benefit, right? And I know the reason that you came here is to really benefit from this course, to really absorb the information and learn a lot about Pilates. And the way that we're going to do that is through being involved, right? So if you can answer when I ask a question, shout out the answers, even if it's just out loud, type in the chat box. And if you can, keep those cameras on. Okay, so Patty, never done Pilates. That's okay, beautiful. So this training is going to be taking us all the way from a beginner to an advanced Pilates instructor. Now, Pilates is a mind-body exercise system that focuses on improving flexibility, strength, and body awareness. It also integrates elements of yoga, dance, and gymnastics. Okay, team. So what do we have for today's session? Today is our very first theory session. What we're going to be covering is learning outcomes and the course structure. What are we actually going to be going over in the next couple of weeks? We're going to be understanding what makes a great Pilates instructor. We're going to be going over the Pilates principles, the history, the origin of Pilates, the change maker approach to Pilates, how to structure a Pilates class, and then we're going to be just having a small introduction to anatomy and physiology. Okay, so team, before we begin, I want to find out from you. Please let me know in the chat box, who are you? Where are you from? So I know who I'm speaking to. Like I said, for those of you who have just joined us, if you can turn those cameras on, keep those cameras on so I can see your beautiful faces and that we can interact. So let me know, who are you? Where are you from? Sharon from Syria. Sharon, am I saying that right? Sharon, Sherry. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let us know, who are you and where are you?
You can hear me. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I don't know who.
I have
Sherry.
to mute the sound, Shirin.
You can unmute if you have something to say, if you want to ask a question, but while we're busy doing the teaching, if possible to keep it on mute just so it's not disturbing the teaching. But anytime you have a question, you're welcome to raise your hand and you're welcome to unmute yourself at any time, right? We do like the course to be as interactive as possible, but we just want to avoid the noise bugging other people. So we do ask you to keep it on mute, but you're welcome at any stage to unmute it. Beautiful, Sherry. Okay, so we've got Sophia from Greece, Tania from Mexico, Hanan, am I saying that right? From Tunisia. Where's Hanan? Hanan, is that correct? Somehow I'm pronouncing it. Hanan.
Yes, greetings. Yes, Hanan from Tunisia.
Hanan. Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get started, team, with our course contents. Beautiful. So the course structure, what are we going to be doing over the next few days? Now, team, before we start the course structure, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to sit up nice and tall in your chair. I'm going to ask you to put a nice, big, beautiful smile on your face. I'm going to ask you to shake out all the negative energy from the still morning, so hopefully we shouldn't have too much negative energy from the day, but from the last few days, from the last year. It's a new day, it's a new opportunity. So I'm going to ask you to sit up nice and tall in your chair, activate that learning so we can get going. Okay, so the course structure. This training is going to be delivered over a period of 6 weeks, right? We're going to be having every single Monday, just like today, from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. We're going to be having the theory part, right? All the nitty gritty, juicy stuff. right? This is going to be information heavy. So prepare yourself, get that brain switched on, have a notepad, have a pen, make as many notes as possible. The more you write things down, the more you're going to remember it, the more you're going to absorb it. And we really want to absorb as much as possible, right? This is quite an intense training. It's a diploma in Pilates. So it's at a very, very high level, which means you're going to be learning a lot of information. So Mondays, we have our theory training, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Friday, if you are doing the mat Pilates, you will be doing the mat Pilates on Friday at 1 p.m. in Lucille at Altitude Elite. This is the practical. We're going to actually learn all the different physical elements, the practical teaching of the mat Pilates. On Saturday at 3 p.m., we're going to be having the practical training for the reformer sessions. This is going to be delivered at Casa Pilates in the Pearl. And you will be required to practice and send recordings of you practicing and of you teaching throughout the training. But I will give you as much information as you need when it's needed. You'll also be able to access recordings of all of these sessions delivered with their workbooks, with all the slides on your Easy Course platform. So you should have all been given access via email to your Easy Course platform. Does everyone have access to their Easy Course platform? Give me a big thumbs up. If there's someone who doesn't have access to their Easy Course, if you can please send me a private message and I will make sure that you have access. I will be sending you a video later today how to access your Easy Course and where to find all the material. So you've got everything there ready to go. Beautiful. So let us know if you don't have access to the Easy Course platform. You are going to need this. You've got your assessments on there. You've got your resources, your manuals, everything that you need is on the platform. Okay. So we should have access to that. So what are the learning outcomes? Now, the learning outcomes, what is the goal of this actual training? Hopefully by the end, you will be able to understand and apply the different Pilates fundamentals and principles. You'll be able to implement effective breathing techniques and strategies. You should be able to teach foundational to advanced mat Pilates, and for some of you, reformer exercises. You should be able to provide progressions and modifications. So easier versions, harder versions, different kind of versions for the different kinds of levels that you'll be getting in your class. You should be able to analyze and correct physical posture. And finally, most important, inshallah, hopefully, you will be able to conduct a practical class confidently. Okay, so team, let me know, how are you feeling today? Send me an emoji in the chat box. I want to see where's your energy at. Send me one emoji. Make it something fun. Make it something exciting. Where is your energy? How are you feeling the beginning of the training? Let us know. One emoji. You don't have emojis? That's okay. So an emoji. Okay, there you go. Beautiful emoji, Sherry. Lovely. Sherry's feeling lovable. Sophia's feeling party vibes. Let's see, where are those emojis? Let's see, where's the energy? Zoom user, you're going to have to let us know who you are. Zoom user is feeling lovable as well. Patty is giving us big hearts. Beautiful. Okay. Zoom user, please let us know who you are so we know who we're speaking to. Okay, so I'm going to do a little introduction about myself before I begin. Zanette, lovely. Isaacs. Is it Isaacs? Isaacs? Is that a karaoke? A microphone? Feeling ready to sing? Okay, in the practical session, Isaac's going to sing us her favorite Pilates song. Okay, so team, a little bit about me before we begin. My name is Cherise. I'm going to be your Pilates instructor throughout the next couple of weeks. I am a master life coach, a leadership coach. I have studied deeper into psychology. I have been in the fitness industry for the last 16 years, mashallah, right? I started in 2010. Wrong icon, it's fine. We loved it anyway, right? So I started doing Pilates in 2012, way back then, right? When life was different, the world was very different, right? I'm very grateful that now I get to coach and train other people into becoming Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, personal trainers, right? So after pursuing my passion in the fitness industry for many, many, many years, myself and Rory, who some of you may have spoken to already, we launched our own fitness academy and we decided to help upskill other people into becoming change makers, right? Our change maker approach is being able to motivate people to be able to give more, to be more, to do more, right? We believe in empowering others. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Any questions? Obviously, you're welcome to ask me at any stage. I am going to be going through the content quite quickly, right? I'm going to ask you to make as many notes as possible because the more notes you make, the more you're going to cement it into your mind, right? We do have a lot to go through, anatomy and physiology, a whole bunch of things. I'm going to ask you to stay with me. Team, very important. Before we go any further with the content, I want to find out from you, what do you think makes a great Pilates instructor? And if you've never gone to a Pilates class before, what do you think makes a great instructor in any class that you've been through? If you want to unmute yourself, you can put your hand up and you can unmute yourself, or you can let us know in the chat box. What do you think makes a great Pilates or fitness instructor? Let us know. If you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you're letting us know in the chat box. So Sophia says observation and knowledge. Okay, very interesting. Beautiful. What else? Who's been to a class and they're like, that was amazing. That was incredible. What created that feeling inside that said, I love this. This was incredible. This was amazing. Clear cues, good energy, beautiful. Tanya says the vibes that give during the class. Okay, so vibes. How many of you think the vibes and the energy is important? Show me your hands. Put your hands up nice and high. Right, beautiful. The right technique. Who agrees the right technique? Beautiful. Sherry says, I adore that feeling coming after the class. Absolutely, right? It's so amazing. But what creates that for you, Sherry? What's inside you creates that? Do you get it after every single class? Or is it only after some specific classes based on some specific things? Hanan says, the breathing fuels the energy. Okay. So good instruction of breath work. Very important. Beautiful. Okay. So let's have a look at some of the scientifically proven things that create a great instructor. Now, these are some of the elements that we're going to be learning over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to hammer this over and over and over. Sherry says, change everything in my life with every class, right? Don't you just feel unstoppable after a good class? You feel like you can take on the entire world after a good class? Beautiful. So what makes a great Pilates instructor? The first thing is an in-depth knowledge of anatomy and biomechanics. How does the body work? Where are the different areas of the body and how do they function together? Right, what Isaac has just said. Deep anatomical knowledge with exceptional communication. Beautiful. So the next point, exactly like Isaac says, it's like you were writing out the first two lines, right? Strong communication and cueing skills. Team, we can have the most amount of knowledge about Pilates. We can be inspiring and motivating, but if we do not know how to communicate and cue effectively, it's very, very difficult to impart our knowledge, right? So we should learn, how do we communicate and how do we cue effectively? Now, I know English is not some of your first language, and that's okay, right? That's fine. The more you practice, the easier it's going to become. And the more you practice, the more you're going to know how to cue effectively. And over the next few weeks, we're going to practice and practice and practice until you know the communication and the cueing skills beautifully. But very important is mindfulness and presence, right? Has anyone here ever been to a class and it kind of felt like their instructor was in La La Land? Like you're kind of there just doing your own thing and they're not really there with you. Has anyone ever been to that kind of a class before? Right? How did you find that class? Was it empowering, motivated, you can't wait to go back? Or was it just like a little, right? So, sorry, Sherry, if I speak fast, please tell me to slow down. I get excited and I tend to speak fast. So have any of you ever been to a class where the instructor just wasn't really there, right? You were there, but the instructor was off in their head. They were off in La La Land. They were somewhere else, right? And you were there and you were like, hey, hey. And they were just doing their own thing, right? Anyone been to that class, right? Tell me, how was that class? What is it amazing? You couldn't wait to go back? Oh, it was average. You're probably not going to go back, right? Sherry, you're lucky, right? That's not happened. I've been to many of those. So mindfulness and presence. You cannot be a good instructor if you're not present. I cannot observe alignment. I cannot coach effectively. I cannot observe when my client is struggling or when it's too easy if I'm not present in the class. And I'm not just meaning physically present, right? I'm meaning in my mind. Where is my mind? Is it here in the class? Are my thoughts focused on the class? Or am I thinking about what happened yesterday with my boyfriend or my cats? Or did I leave the oven on, right? I need to be present in the class. I need to be there to be able to be a good instructor. I need to have the ability to observe alignments. Are they doing the moves correctly? Is all the joints and all the body elements in the right alignments? And we're going to be learning exactly how to do this and to be able to correct kindly, right? There's nothing worse than someone correcting you in such a way that it makes you feel bad about yourself, that it makes you feel like you don't even want to be there anymore, right? So we want to learn, how do we correct kindly? How do we empower with correction, right? We want people to feel that, to leave that class feeling good, feeling confident, feeling empowered, regardless of their level. Regardless if they did the easiest version in the class, they should still be proud of themselves for showing up. How many of you agree with that, right? Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe it's the time of the month. They should still feel confident and proud. So Samsung SM, let us know who you are. Samsung SM. Also, I'm just going to be calling you Samsung SM throughout the whole class. Don't want to go back in a class with a twang. Cues are confusing and not easy to understand. Okay, beautiful perspective, right? Lovely. So how can we make the cues easy to understand? How can we make them so simple, so clear that even if English is not their first language, that they can understand? right? And we're going to learn exactly how to do that. We don't need to speak biomechanics. We don't need to speak with technical language. We can speak with simple, clear cues. We can speak with imagery. We paint a beautiful picture so that they can visualize. And we're going to learn how to do all of this. Okay, so the ability to observe alignment and correct kindly. For me, one of my most important elements of going to a class is the positive energy, motivation, and a client-centered focus, right? You could go to a class and someone knows so much about anatomy and physiology, they cue perfectly, but they're just negative, right? They're not motivating. They're disempowering or they're unkind. And no one wants to go to a class like that, right? So you can have the best anatomy and physiology knowledge, you can have the best communication, but if you don't have the energy, if you're not positive, you're not motivated, people will not continue to come to your class, right? I've been teaching Pilates for many years. I've taught all different modalities, yoga, spinning, boot camp, Pilates, boxing. And I've taught this certification many times. And what always comes up as one of the most important elements is the energy. If your energy isn't there, the students are not going to be there, right? Remember that your energy, your motivation, it's so critical. And we all have bad days, right? We all have times of the month where we're not feeling very jolly. But what we're going to learn over the next couple of weeks is how do we tap into that energy within us? How do we tap into that motivation within us, even on a bad day? Right? And as change makers, we're going to learn to show up at our best the majority of the time. Okay, the next important thing, what makes a great Pilates instructor is consistency, good class flow. The class should flow from one movement to the other, should be sequenced in a logical order that you feel like you're almost in a dance, right? We're going to be learning the principles of Pilates. And one of those principles is flow, right? It's how can you make this like a beautiful dance, movement to movement, without feeling like you're doing very jumping static movements. And finally, very important, great instructors should have a passion for continuing education and self-improvement, right? Those people who are continuously progressing, continuously learning new skills, continuously investing in themselves to develop, those are the people that make the biggest impacts, right? And this is your foundation. This is going to be your launch pad, this course, right? You're going to learn everything you know, the foundations, the principles. But I encourage you to continuously keep developing yourself, to continuously keep improving yourself. Because we teach a lot about fulfillment, right? We train life coaches and we train health and wellness coaches, and we teach a lot about fulfillment. And if you have to break down fulfillment into different elements, growing is one of the most important elements of fulfillment. When you are growing, when you are learning, when you are expanding yourself beyond what you already know, your life feels more alive, right? And that's why, as Pilates instructors, we don't believe in perfection, right? So many people get obsessed with perfection. I have to be perfect. At Ignite, we don't believe in perfection because why? Perfection is boring. Perfection means that you've got nowhere to grow. You've got nowhere to improve. And then your life is not exciting. Your life has no fulfillment. So we value growth. We value and we pursue developing ourselves. Making a mistake doesn't mean that you're not perfect. Making a mistake means that now you know where you can develop yourself, where you can improve, and how you can get better. And isn't that so exciting? How many of you are excited to be on this training? How many of you are excited to learn more, to grow more, right? It lights up a fire inside of you to have your legs, right? Beautiful. And that's the kind of attitude that we want to have, right? Because if we believe in continuous education, then it's just about finding the right strategy to make it work. It's never about failing or winning. It's about, I'm going to go until I succeed. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what makes a great Pilates instructor, right? Some of you may value one of these more than the other, and that's okay because we're all different. We're all unique. And you're going to figure out what is unique and different about you, and how can you bring that energy into your classes. Okay, so next we're going to go over something called Pilates principles. If you know any of the Pilates principles, let me know which Pilates principles do you know. Let us know in the chat box. I'm going to get started so long with the Pilates principles. Now, Pilates principles are the foundational elements of Pilates. You need to master and know off by heart each one of these principles. So I want you to write them down. I want you to make a note of them. You're going to learn these because every single class that you deliver has to have these aligned, interwoven into the class. So the first Pilates principle is concentration. This is paying full attention to every single movement to ensure proper form with mindfulness, with presence. This is focusing on the mind, focusing on the body, and heightening the awareness of muscle engagement. When we break down mindfulness, there's two elements of mindfulness, right? The first element is awareness. I'm present. I'm focused on what's happening in the moment. And the second element is kindness without judgment. So when I'm moving in Pilates, I'm concentrating, I'm moving mindfully, I'm engaging every single muscle contraction. I'm being aware of how my body is moving, how it feels, and I'm doing this with kindness, without judgment for how my body's moving. I'm becoming aware so that I can improve it, but I'm not judging myself. The second principle of Pilates is control. Now, every movement should be deliberate. It should be controlled. There's no fast, uncontrolled movements, right? This isn't a HIIT class. This isn't high rocks. This isn't CrossFit. There's so many of those gyms out there that we can go and move fast and move the body uncontrolled. But in Pilates, we move very controlled. We move with intention, with precision. We avoid sloppy or uncontrolled motions and movements. The next very important principle is centering. Now, when we're speaking about centering, this is engaging the core or the powerhouse, as Joseph Pilates would call it, right? The core is not just our six-pack abs, right? The core constitutes of a range of different muscles. It's the core, the ab muscles, the transverse, the deeper layers of muscles. It's even your spine. It's even part of your core is your glutes and your hips, your pelvis, right? So the core is the entire powerhouse. Imagine the trunk of a tree. That is your core, right? So if you look from the hips all the way up to your rib cage, that's your core. Everything that wraps around like a trunk of a tree. This is the center of every single movement. So every single movement in Pilates, we emphasize the powerhouse. We emphasize the core muscles with every single movement. And we're going to learn in the practical sessions, how do we do this? How do we actually engage the core? How do we engage the pelvis? How do we find a nice neutral alignment to create a nice, beautiful, strong body? Okay, principle number 4 is flow, like I was speaking about earlier, right? The movements are smooth, they're continuous, and they're graceful. Pilates should be connecting one exercise to the next, right? It's almost like a dance where one movement leads to the next movements, and they should be continuous, mimicking the grace of the body in motion. So while you're focusing on concentration, mindfulness, controlling precision, centering the core, the powerhouse, you're flowing from one movement to the other. And you're doing this all very precisely with precision. So correct form, joint alignment. Joint alignment is my ankles are in line with my knees and they're in line with my hips. My wrist is in line with my elbow. It's in line with my shoulder. We want alignment of the entire body with every single movement, right? So focus on correct alignment for the muscle recruitment for each exercise before increasing intensity, right? In normal gym classes and fitness classes, you could do an exercise, you don't have the right form, and they'll still stack the weights, right? And that's how a lot of injuries happen. With Pilates, we do never progress a movement if the basic foundational movement hasn't been mastered first, right? We master the alignment, we master the technique, we make sure the body is doing it without losing form before we increase intensity. Okay, and the final Pilates principle, I'm trying to remember who spoke about it earlier. I think it was Hanan, right? With the breathing. Yes, the breathing, right? One of our final Pilates principles is that breath. Breathing deeply to fully support the movement. When we breathe deeply, it helps to oxygenate the muscles. It helps to engage the core even further, right? So we coordinate the breathing with the movement, right? So we need to allow our clients to know when do they breathe, how do they breathe to get the most benefits of the movement. When do they inhale? When do they exhale? Right? And the more we practice it, the easier it's going to become. So let me know which is your favorite of these principles and why. Let me know in the chat box which is your favorite Pilates principle that you just learned and why. And this is very important because this principle is going to carry you through your practice. So let us know in the chat box which is your favorite Pilates principle and why. Sophia says centering, right? Engaging that powerhouse. Sophia, let us know why. If you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself. Why the powerhouse? Why is this important to you? And I want to hear from all of you, every single one of you. Let me know in the chat box which is your favorite Pilates principle. So Sophia's is centering. Yes. Samsung. You can unmute yourself. You put your, I think you put your hand up. Were you putting your hand up? No, she ran away. Okay, so team, let us know. So Sophia says it's the most important for the body posture. Okay, beautiful. So Sophia says centering, it's the most important for the body posture. Isaac, Sherry, Hanan, Patty, Tanya, Zoom user. Who was Zoom user? If you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself, but let me know which is your favorite principle and why. So Sherry says consistency, beautiful. Okay, consistency. So I think maybe you're speaking about precision maybe, or concentration, right? So the principles are only these 6, right? So consistency may be control, right? So control, consistency. Okay. So the rest of you team, please do focus on finding which is your favorite principle and why, because this is very important for your practice. So Tanya says precision, because it's important to have a good and solid foundation. Beautiful, right? So very precise with those movements. Lovely. Patty says concentration, being fully aware and present. Beautiful, right? That mindfulness element, that mind and body connection. Lovely. And Sherry says exactly control. That's what I mean. Beautiful. That's fine. So Sherry's is control. Lovely. Control for the consistency. Beautiful. Okay, so make sure that you keep studying these principles. I'm going to be keeping asking you about these principles. They're very important because once you understand the principles, you understand Pilates, right? You cannot understand Pilates and you cannot deliver an effective Pilates class if you don't know the principles. A great class should have these principles introduced in the beginning. You should be educating your clients. This is actually what Pilates is about. Pilates is about moving with precision, with control, gracefully, finding your flow within the movements, focused on breathing, focused on engaging the core throughout. Every single class should be starting, introducing these principles. Isaac says centering. Each movement must be always engaging your core. Absolutely, right? Beautiful. Okay, so now that we understand a little bit more about Pilates principles, May. Oh, sorry, May. May, is it like that? May or my? Is it my? The second one. Okay, sorry, Mai. Lovely to meet you, Mai. Samsung SM, I'm still waiting for your name. Zoom user, I'm still waiting for your name as well. Okay, I6 is Mai. Beautiful. Okay, so let's have a look at Pilates history and philosophy. Did you know that Pilates was actually created by a man? How many of you knew that Pilates was created by a man, right? Joseph Pilates was his name. He's the person that actually created Pilates. Now, if we look into the history of Pilates, Pilates is more than just a set of movements, right? It's not just exercise. It's a method rooted in deep, Joseph, absolutely right, Sherry. It's a method that's rooted in deep history and purpose and guiding principles, with the purpose of bringing strength, alignment, and vitality, health, energy to people today. Right? So, as a change maker, your teaching goes beyond just the physical exercise. But what we truly want to do is inspire empowerment, confidence, and transformation in our clients. When our clients leave the class, we want them feeling better, more confident, and physically more capable than when they came in, right? That's what we want to do. Now, Joseph Pilates, right? He was born in Germany in 1883. He was born a very sickly child, right? He suffered with asthma, with rickets, with rheumatic fever. He was very, very sickly growing up, and he was very determined to overcome his own health challenges. He studied various physical disciplines, including gymnastics and bodybuilding and yoga and martial arts and ancient Greek and Roman fitness practices, right? So he went very deep into studying all different kinds of exercise modalities. And then during the World War I, he developed a method of exercises for injured soldiers. So for the soldiers who were injured, he used their beds, he attached different springs and pulleys and different elements to exercise on the bed, which later inspired the actual reformer. So Joseph started this practice. He started it as something called contrology, right? So contrology was the original method of Pilates. This is actually where it originated from. And it was designed to rehabilitate injured soldiers, right? Today we see it's mainly women, right? It's a very female trend. But back in the day, it was actually majoritively men, obviously soldiers. And later on, because of the benefits of the alignment and improving injuries and reducing injuries, it became very popular in the different dance communities, right? So in 1920 in New York, Joseph Pilates opened a studio with his wife Clara, which attracted different dancers and athletes and performers because it was known for improving their strength, posture, flexibility, and it was great for recovery, right? So the original group of people later became to be known as the Pilates disciples, right? They're the first generation of Pilates teachers. We had Romana Kiranawaski, Kathy Grant, Ron Fletcher, Eve Gentry, Carola Triera, Mary Bowen, and Bruce King. Don't worry about all the names, right? Later on, you're going to research it again to upload it in your documents. Now, the original movements, this is very important to know, the original movements have been adapted, and there's quite a lot of debate around a few elements in Pilates. There's one debate about neutral versus imprints. I don't know if anyone knows about that, right? Neutral spine, where the spine is just naturally straight. Imprint, which was Joseph Pilates' first traditional method, is pushing the spine down back into the mat, right? There's also now a debate around the exact order of the 34 classical movements. The Pilates disciples shifted and changed a couple of elements. So depending on what work you look at, there's a few differences in debates, but the principles are still there. Okay, so sit up nice and tall, put a big smile on your face, guys. I know it's a little bit content heavy, just stick with us. Okay, so today we've got two different styles of Pilates, right? We've got the classical, the old school. This was Joseph Pilates' original repertoire. It consisted of a structured system of 34 mat exercises, right? So when we look at Pilates, Pilates originated on the mat, right? It really pushes my buttons when someone calls Reformer Pilates proper Pilates, right? I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, yeah, I went to Reformer, you know, the proper Pilates. Pilates is a system of exercises. It was originally created on the mat. Reformer is just an apparatus. It's a tool that we use to perform Pilates. Same like the Cadillac, same like the barrel, same like the Wonder Chair. These are different apparatus that we perform the original 34 mat Pilates exercises, and then we use different apparatus to help the body to get into the movements more precisely with either easier or with more challenge, right? So Pilates is the style of exercise. Mats, Reformer, Cadillac, Wonder Chair, these are just the different apparatus we use to perform Pilates. So while mat work is central and it can be done anywhere, they can also be performed on the Reformer and other Pilates apparatus, right? The springs, the pulleys, the resistance of the Reformer and the other apparatus, these were designed to both either assist to make the movement easier or to challenge the body to complement the mat exercises, right? So classical Pilates consists of these 34 exercises. I'm not going to go through them now, right? We're going to be learning about them in the next 6 weeks, right? We're going to be digging deep into each of these movements, the what, the why, the how do we coach them, how do we cue them? Simply in English to make it easy for everyone to understand, right? So we'll be going over these 34 throughout the next couple of weeks. And then the other style of Pilates is contemporary Pilates. This is a more modern version of Pilates. It still includes Joseph Pilates' classical repertoire, but it uses a more modern knowledge of anatomy, biomechanics, and rehabilitation science to deliver the movements. It emphasizes safe alignment. Has anyone watched original Joseph Pilates exercises on YouTube? Anyone seen how rough he was with his clients? I'm gonna send you some videos to the WhatsApp group. He took them and he yanked them and he shoved them and he pushed them, right? It's quite comical if you see it. Today it's very much like, may I gently align your legs? Joseph didn't get. He was like, smash it down, throw it back, right? It's very, very funny if you watch his videos, right? I don't know how many more people he injured versus how many he helped, but no, I'm just joking. Right? And that's the importance of moving correctly, right? If you move correctly, you can actually move your body quite strongly without injuring. Okay, so contemporary Pilates uses the original 34, but also now brings in more functional training movements. So like standing, balance work, dynamic stability, spiral movements, right? Contemporary Pilates also incorporates small equipment like little resistance bands, Pilates rings, stability balls, foam rollers, light dumbbells, right? Light weights. So if you've been doing Pilates with any of these equipments, this is contemporary, right? This is the modern Pilates. Throughout this training, we're going to learn both. We're going to master the classical, and we're also going to touch on the contemporary. And the beautiful thing about Pilates is you get to choose which style are you going to teach? How are you going to teach it? Are you going to use equipment? Are you going to use props? Are you going to use different elements? Or are you going to stick to the more classical style, right? You get to choose. There's no right and wrong. Pilates is very flexible and open as long as you're keeping the Pilates principles. Those 6 principles are woven into every single class. There's quite a lot of flexibility that you can do within the class. Okay, beautiful. So we understand a little bit about Pilates principles, Pilates history. What do you think may be some of the biggest benefits of Pilates in today's world? So we understand the science of Pilates, but what would my clients benefit? If I want to tell someone, come and join me for a Pilates class, why should they? What benefits are they going to receive from attending the class? Just to let you know, we'll probably be going on a short little break in about 10 minutes. So if you need the toilet, the loo or anything, want some water, just hang tight. 10 more minutes, we'll be going on break. What are some of the biggest Pilates principles? If you want to unmute yourself, you are welcome. Otherwise, let us know in the chat box. What do you think are some of the biggest principles, the biggest benefits of Pilates? Why should people come and join you to do Pilates? After a couple of weeks of practicing, what's going to improve? Good posture, beautiful body alignment, right? Proper body alignment prevents injuries. It helps to improve any existing injuries. Stretching, lovely. Again, prevention from injuries. Any other benefits? Strength without bulking. Okay, interesting, very interesting. Improved core strength, posture, flexibility, balance. Beautiful, right? Lovely. So Pilates has a lot of benefits. Surprised no one mentioned one of the best ones. Improve themselves to the life with better way, right? To just live better, live with less pain, live with more mobility and more flexibility, alleviates lower back pain, right? Pilates is prescribed to a lot of people with back surgeries, with back injuries to help rehabilitate. Right? Our previous training, we had a lady who actually went for a back operation. They fused some of her lower vertebra, and the doctor prescribed Pilates to help her recover. Boosting mental well-being and energy, right? That's what I was looking for. That massive benefits. Don't you just feel better, more confident after doing Pilates? flexibility also, right? In case you need to kick someone really high, right? So, very big benefit of Pilates is strengthening the core, right? We spoke about the core muscles that wraps around like the trunk of a tree. It includes the transverse abdominis, the obliques, the side of the abs, the rectus abdominis, and continuously activating the other core muscles, hips, the spine, the glutes, right? There's an increase in flexibility through controlled dynamic stretches and movements. Flexibility is improved without overstraining the muscles. We have that improved posture through that spinal alignment and the balance that enhance postural control. It improves balance and coordination. So many of the exercises challenge stability, which requires a lot of balance and motor control, right? So it's really great for elderly people who perhaps have lost their balance, for people recovering from an injury that they need to get better mind-body connection to not fall over so easily, to not hurt themselves so easily, right? There's also the spinal mobility. There's an emphasis on spinal articulation. Now, what is spinal articulation? It's when our vertebra articulates and it rolls vertebra by vertebra. It's almost like a roll of beads raveling and unraveling. So spinal articulation is extremely important in Pilates, and we'll learn it through every movement. How do we incorporate that spinal articulation? It helps the vertebra move through their full range of motion. It massages those discs, and it really helps to improve the posture and a healthy, flexible spine. There's that mind-body connection, right? Pilates requires a lot of mental focus to perform movements correctly, enhancing proprioception. Proprioception is your awareness of your body positioning. Proprioception, where is my foot if I step back? Can I step back without falling over? How can I place my hand next to me to support me? So this is proprioception. It's not an important word, but that's just what it means in case it comes up later. There's obviously the breathing techniques. The diaphragmatic breathing, diaphragm, right? We're breathing from the ribs, from our diaphragm, not just from our chest. What happens if I breathe from my chest? My breathing becomes very shallow, right? It's very short. A lot of people who suffer with anxiety, a lot of people who get very stressed, who have panic attacks, what do people tell them to do? Breathe into a bag. Why? Because it allows them to breathe deeper. If I'm breathing too shallow, my brain literally picks up, I'm not getting enough oxygen. I'm gonna die. And it sends the body into a panic state. Right? So just by breathing deeper, it allows the entire nervous system to calm down. It allows the entire nervous system to relax. It allows the body to shift into the state of rest and digest and healing. It's like, I am safe. So take a nice deep breath in for me now. And I want you to place your hands onto your ribs. And I want you to try and breathe so that you're expanding your rib cage. Take a few deep breaths. And see if instead of just breathing into your chest, breathe into your chest and then breathe into your rib cage. Right? That deep breathing, it allows oxygen to flow and it reduces stress. It literally shifts the body into a parasympathetic state. We'll be learning all about this later on the science of it, right? But it allows our body to go into a state of you're safe, you're fine, you're safe, you can heal, right? And very important, there's the rehabilitation or the injury prevention, right? The controlled low impact movements, they're very often used in physical therapy, particularly for back issues. They help to improve muscular imbalances, reducing the risk of injury. Okay, so there's way more benefits in that, right? There's tons of benefits, but we'd be here forever if we try to speak about all the benefits. But just get clear on what are the main benefits that you're trying to achieve. Because the more you can speak the benefits, the more you can influence people to come to your practice, to take part, and to actually improve their health, their mind, their body, their alignments, and prevent the injury. Right. And as Joseph Pilates says, focus on the right movements every single time you do the exercise. Otherwise, you'll execute them inappropriately and they'll lose their value. Every single movement, every single exercise has a purpose, has a benefit for the body. But if you're doing it with the wrong alignments, with the wrong movements, with the wrong breathing, without engaging the core, then they lose their value and they're not actually doing the job that they were designed to do. Okay, and the final thing we're going to touch on before we go to break is the change maker approach to Pilates, right? The change makers, well, here at Ignite, what we stand for is the change makers. They're the people that want to make a difference in the world. They're the people that are going out and improving themselves and bringing everyone along with them, right? Pilates is way more than just an exercise. It's a holistic practice of contrology, right? It brings together the body, the mind, and the spirits beyond strength and posture. Pilates empowers individuals with confidence and energy and resilience for their daily life. It empowers people to gain back their strength, gain back their confidence, and to move with more confidence. So for instructors, if you're a Pilates instructor, this is the chance to inspire and to transform other people by using Pilates, by teaching with clarity, precision, and inspiration. You don't only guide bodies, but you also empower minds, right? Embodying that change maker mentality. And that's the goal. We want to get you guys to not just be teaching exercise, but to really be influencing who that person is, their belief within themselves and their confidence to move again, right? Because I'm sure we've all been at a stage where we've lost a little bit of confidence, where we've been in a rough place, in a tough place, and it was difficult to move our bodies, or it was difficult to think positively. And I'm sure a lot of you can agree that movement is therapy, right? And we get to be, and as an instructor, you get to shift someone's mood. You get to shift someone's health. You get to shift someone's confidence and their energy. And how beautiful is that, right? So I want you to answer the following questions, or at least consider them in our little break. So how does understanding the origins and purpose of Pilates shape your approach to teaching? How can you teach better or more effectively now that you know the origins, the purpose, and the principles of Pilates? And finally, how do you explain Pilates in one sentence to someone new? Right? Make sure to include your favorite element of Pilates principles with a brief explanation. So I'm speaking to my cousin, my auntie, my coworker, and I want to explain the beautiful principles of Pilates. How do I do it? How do I explain the principles? How do I explain the benefits in one simple sentence? Okay, team, it is now 2 minutes past 12. We're going to have a 13-minute short break. So let's meet back at 12:15 to finish the last little bit of the theory stuff. We'll probably be done at 1. So grab some water, run to the loo, and we'll see you back at 12:15. I am going to leave the Zoom meeting on. You are welcome to log off and log back on, or you can just keep yourself logged on. Team, any questions, please put them in the chat box so that I can answer them when we come back. Otherwise, I will see you all at 12:15. Team, are we all okay with the information so far? Has it all made sense? Beautiful. Any questions, put them up on the chat box. We will see you at 12:15. Thank you. Bye-bye. So let's have a look at our next little section. What we're going to be looking at is how do we structure a Pilates class? How do we teach effectively? And then we're going to be looking at an introduction to anatomy and physiology. Okay, team. Lovely. If you can, let's get those cameras on so that I can see you. Beautiful. So how do we actually structure a Pilates class? Now, planning a Pilates class starts with a clear objective. For example, are you going to be working your glutes in that class? Are you going to be focusing on upper body, or is it going to be a full body class? While always targeting the core, strength, flexibility, and posture. We want to select a balanced mix of exercises that cover all the different spinal movements. When I'm speaking about spinal movements, I'm speaking about flexion, bending forward, extension, moving backwards, rotation, moving my shoulders away from my hips, lateral flexion, moving my spine sideways, right? We're going to be learning all these terminologies in the next couple of days, but I just want to be helping you to start understanding all the different ways that the spine moves, right? And if you can, maybe stand up and you can practice this, right? We have spinal flexion. So spinal flexion, I'm going to bring my body down. And then I've got spinal extension. I'm going to bring my body back, right? A rotation will look something like this. And lateral flexion is moving the body side. So when I am programming a Pilates class, I want to make sure that I'm covering all the different spinal movements and the range of movements to keep the spine nice and healthy, right? The sequence, very, very, very important. The sequence should start at a warm-up, then it should go to the peak, and then it should come for a cool down, right? The class shouldn't just be one straight line. There should be slower movements, warming the body. Then I increase the intensity, warm the body even more. I challenge the body, and then I bring the body back down. And everything in the class, your tone of voice, your music, matches this, right? We start slow, we increase, and we come back down. So if I'm looking at the structure of a class, I want to make sure that I'm designing smooth transitions to get which principle? That flow. So smooth transitions. I don't want to be laying on my back and then come onto my stomach and then go back onto my back and then back onto my stomach, right? It really takes away the smoothness, the flow of the class. So when I'm on my back, I do a couple of exercises here, and then I gracefully do something to stand up and then come to the front. And then I do all the exercises on the front, rather than like a pancake flipping front and back, right? We also want to make sure that there's built-in regressions. If I regress something, it means I make it easier. And if I progress something, if there's a progression, I make it more challenging. So if I've got a class, I want to give regressions and I want to give progressions. If it's too easy for you, you can do this. If it's too challenging for you, you can do this. So I'm allowing everybody to take it at their own level. I also want to offer modifications in case someone is pregnant, in case someone has a neck injury, in case someone has a back injury or a knee injury. How can I adapt it and offer them something different to make it more possible for them while keeping the flow and pace appropriate? I want to make sure that I'm preparing, cueing, and breath coaching, and I prioritize safety through monitoring, alignment, and technique. See all the principles coming through, right? If I know the principles, I can program a class. If available, integrate small props, bands, balls, weights, magic circles, and equipment for variety if you're doing contemporary Pilates. Of course, if you're doing more classical Pilates, perhaps you don't want to use all the different props and equipment available to you. Okay, beautiful. So I want you to take a screenshot in your mind of the Pilates class structure. And we're going to be doing this over the next couple of weeks in the practical training. The structure of a class looks like this. There's a preparatory phase, right? In Pilates, they don't really call it warm-up, right? Because it's more preparing the body, but this would be your warm-up, the preparation phase. Very important. What do you do very first thing? You introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Charisse. I'm going to be your instructor for today. Let them know who you are. You want to find out, are there any newcomers to the class? You want to bring in the principles of Pilates. This is Pilates. It's about alignment, control, precision, engaging the core, breathing, mindfulness, awareness, control. Right? You want to make sure that you're doing a little verbal parkour. Are there any injuries I should be aware of? Are there any pregnancies I should be aware of? Why is this important? What if someone's got an injury in your class? You should know, right? So you should know, are there any injuries? Is there anyone pregnant, so that you can watch that person and offer them modifications when needed. You don't want to be giving someone who's just gone for a back operation boomerang, right? Or a different kind of movement that they're putting now a lot of load on the spine. You're going to hurt them. Then we go to set up our ABCs, right? Once we've introduced ourselves and we've done the introduction of the class, we always start with our ABCs. Our A is our alignment. You help them align the whole body. Make sure that the spine is aligned. Make sure that the pelvis is aligned. We'll be learning how to do this in the practical. Then you go for your B. Your B is your breathing, your lateral thoracic breathing, breathing through the rib cage, not just through the chest. Then you go for your C. So A, B, C. Your C is your core activation. How do they engage their entire core, their transverse abdominis? How do they wrap up the entire core so that it's nice and strong? Then you would start with some mobility. Mobilization is moving a joint, right? A joint, we'll learn more in anatomy and physiology, but mobilizing is moving that joint around and round. And then I want to do some dynamic stretches, some movement stretches. Then I move to the main phase of my class. This is the main body movements. These are the exercises that are going to achieve my class fundamentals. What's the objective of my class? Is it targeting the core and the glutes? Is it targeting the full body? Is it an upper body? In this main phase, it's all my main exercises that I'm using to achieve that objective. And then we have the closing phase. The closing phase is some stretching, releasing everything that we've worked, whether it was the shoulders, the glutes, the spine. I want to breathe slowly, and I want to bring a little bit of mindfulness, maybe even a little bit of gratitude. Thank your body for showing up. Thank you for taking this time, right? This movement is a gift. So however I want to do a little bit of mindfulness or gratitude, I consolidate the main objective. Today, we really challenged our core. We really strengthened the upper body. So what was your objective? What was your purpose of the class, the goal? And then I want to do a little bit of a feedback and farewell. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you had a lovely class. If anyone has any feedback, please come let me know. I'm open to hear any feedback, any suggestions, any questions. I'm here. Please let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. I look forward to seeing you again in my next class, Thursday, 10 a.m. See you there, right? And if we follow the structure, it really helps us to create this connection with our clients, right? We want to connect with them. We want to know, who are they? This is who we are. We want to watch out for any special cases. Is there anyone pregnant? Is there anyone injured? We want to give them a time to come and ask us any questions, right? And this really helps us to create rapport with our client base. The more rapport you have with your client base, the longer they're going to stay with you. Okay, so now we know how to structure a class. Next very important thing that we need to know is, how do we teach effectively? And if we can teach effectively every single time, if we know the strategy to teaching, it makes it a little bit easier. Let me ask you something. What is a strategy? Who can tell me what is a strategy? What is a strategy? If I'm looking at the word strategy, what does it mean? It's a plan, right, Tanya? It's a plan. It's a way, step by step, on how to achieve something. I'm in the fitness industry, right? I've been in the fitness industry a very, 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 very long time. If I wanted to try bake a cake and I've never baked a cake before, it's going to be very difficult if I don't know what to do, right? If I don't have a plan of action, I might just throw a bunch of ingredients and then I don't know even what I do with it, right? Maybe throw it in the microwave. How many of you are going to come and join me for my cake and tea party? No one even for sympathy? That's fine, right? Sherry's like, okay, for sympathy. Right? If I don't have a recipe, if I've never baked before, it's very difficult to bake a cake, right? However, if I get a recipe from the best baker in town, and he gave me a recipe of a delicious chocolate cake, and I followed that recipe and I knew exactly which ingredients went in which stages, I followed the instructions, it's a lot easier to bake that cake. How many of you would come join me for cake and tea then? Right? Hopefully a few more, right? If you have a structured plan, if you have a structured strategy, it makes everything a lot easier. So we have a strategy for teaching. Now, the strategy that we use is what, why, how, breathing and imagery, right? What, why, how, breath, imagery. Every single movement, remember the Pilates principles, remember what, why, how, breathing and imagery, you can teach every single exercise. We use this strategy because it makes it easier for the clients to understand and for us to have a framework of how to teach confidently and effectively, especially if English isn't our first language, right? If we know the what, the why, the how, breathing and imagery, it's a lot easier, right? So the what is it that they're doing, right? What is the actual movement? The why does it matter? What are the benefits? And if you can, connect this to their goal. The why brings in the motivation. The why brings in the commitment. You're doing this exercise to strengthen your core, to improve your posture, to prevent injury, or you're doing this core to strengthen your glutes so that you have a nice, strong booty, whatever the goal is, right? Why are they performing this exercise? And then the how is how do they actually do it safely and effectively? And it usually starts with how do they start, what's the main action, and how do they finish? Clear, simple, concise. As simple as possible. As simple as possible. We refrain from using big, difficult to understand words, right? I'm not going to say move your arm laterally to your posterior chain and engage your transverse abdominis and rotate your pelvis anteriorly. Everyone's going to look at me and be like, WTF are you saying? Right? Speak English. Clear, simple, concise. Don't use big, fancy terminology, right? And if you do use a big word, let them know what it means, right? Activate your posterior chain, meaning engage the backside of your body, right? Make it simple for them to understand. So how do they do it? Clear and concise. And as they're moving, you layer in more corrections, right? You don't want to take 10 minutes explaining how to do the movement and they've already cooled their body down, right? We want it to be clear, concise as possible. And then finally, imagery, right? I'm trying to remember who said at the beginning. I feel like maybe it was, trying to remember, maybe someone said in the beginning, right? It's very difficult to sometimes hear instructions. So what we do is we use imagery, right? Lift your glutes up so you're making a ski slope with your body. Now everyone knows what a ski slope is, right? Lift your rib cage to create a beautiful rainbow with your body. Imagine you're bouncing little balls under your hand, right? So you use little imagery so that they can visualize and it's easier to understand, okay, this is what they want my body to do, right? Different people learn and understand different ways, right? So we want to make sure that we're trying to speak in a way that everyone in our class can understand us. Okay, team, sit up nice and tall, put a big smile on your face. What, why, how, imagery, and breathing. Okay, last little bit of today's session, we have our introduction to anatomy and physiology, right? Anatomy and physiology, it's quite complicated. Next session, we have the full session of anatomy and physiology. And why does it matter in Pilates? Why is it so important? Because Pilates instructors do more than just teach movement. They help clients to strengthen, restore, and understand their bodies. And the way that we do that is through anatomy and physiology. Anatomy, how is the body structured, right? What are the different elements and working systems of the body? And physiology is, how does it actually work? How does it function? How do the different elements work, and how do they work together? So knowing this ensures that your sessions are safe and effective and empowering, right? We need to know, how does the body work and how do they all work together to be able to instruct very well. So the first thing that we're going to be touching on, and there's 10 of them, right? There's 10 systems. The first one is your skeletal system, right? Your skeleton, your bones. Why does it matter? Your skeleton provides the framework for your posture and alignment. Understanding your bones, your joints, and spinal curves is extremely vital for teaching correct form, preventing injury, and improving mobility. So in Pilates, we work to restore the neutral spine alignment. We increase joint mobility and strengthen bones through weight-bearing movements. Our next system is our muscles. They attach to our skeleton. So muscles are what create our movement. They support our joints and maintain our posture. So knowing the origins, insertions, and functions help you to cue correct engagement, and also to spot, to observe when someone is compensating. So when someone is using one side of their body more than they should be, or more than the other side of the body, right? We'll start to see, okay, the shoulders are rounded, so therefore now they have a kyphotic posture, right? And now they're using their traps too much, right? We're going to learn how to spot all of this over the next few weeks. In Pilates, we focus on core stability and balanced muscle development, lengthening tight areas while strengthening the weak ones. Nervous system, why it matters. Our nervous system controls every movement, right? From conscious muscle contraction to balance and coordination. In Pilates, we use this mind-body connection and cueing and proprioception. You guys remember that word from earlier? Proprioception, my body's awareness of my body in its space to enhance my body awareness, precision, and control. Then my respiratory system. What's that? That's my lungs, my breathing system, right? Breathing delivers oxygen for energy and helps regulate movement. In Pilates, we use lateral thoracic, meaning I breathe into my rib cage to support my core activation, relaxation, and rhythm. Next, I have my cardiovascular system. What's that? That's my heart and all my circulatory systems. This circulates my oxygen and the nutrients and removes wastes. Well, Pilates isn't traditionally cardiovascular, right? You're not out of breath after doing Pilates. It does still improve circulation, stamina, and heart health. Then we've got our endocrine system, right? This is our hormonal system. It matters because hormones regulate our energy, recovery, and mood. And in Pilates, it stimulates our endorphins, it reduces stress hormones, and supports our metabolic health. So it's especially beneficial for clients managing menopause, stress, or weight, right? Digestive system, what's that, right? That's our entire digestive system. How do we digest food? How do we absorb those nutrients? Why it matters: our digestive system provides energy and nutrients for performance and recovery. In Pilates, the different movements stimulate our digestive systems, while core exercises can aid our abdominal health and posture. So, oh, I said there were 10, there's only 8. Mashallah, you guys are lucky. Right. So anatomy and physiology gives us the map and the manual for the human body. As Pilates instructor, this knowledge means I can now teach with more precision, more safety, and more purpose. By knowing how each system works and how they respond to exercise. When I exercise, what happens to my heart? When I exercise, what happens to my hormones? When I exercise, what happens to my bones and my muscles? When I understand this, I can design sessions that build more strength, more flexibility, more alignment, and more overall well-being. Right? I'm able to explain more efficiently the purpose and the benefits of Pilates. Okay, so team, a short summary of today's session. We covered the history and the origins of Pilates, right? We spoke about Joseph Pilates and the contrology method, a practice built on alignment, control, precision, breathing, core activation, right? We spoke about what are the benefits of Pilates. There's many benefits, right? We spoke about what's that change maker approach. Beyond just movements, we're building empowerment, confidence, and transformation, mind and body. We spoke about the different principles of teaching Pilates, right? All those beautiful principles. And we spoke, how do we teach what, why, how, breathing, and imagery. Now we know, how do I teach? There you go. Right? We spoke about the class structure. How do I structure a class, right? There's the warm-up or the preparatory phase. Then there's the core practice, the main objective. And then there's the cool down. It's safe, it's progressive, it's engaging for all levels. And then we touched on an introduction to anatomy and physiology. Next week, we get to dive deep into all the systems, right? This is specific foundations for safe and effective teaching. How does the body work for better client results? Team, any questions on everything that we've covered so far? Are we all roughly clear on what we've covered so far? Give me a big thumbs up, either a real one or a virtual one. Beautiful. Okay, so your homework is going to be filling in page 15 and 16 on your LAR. Your LAR is your learner assessment record. This is the document that the awarding body is going to need from you at the end of your training in order to pass your certification training, right? Remember that this is a diploma that you're doing. It's not a regular certificate, right? So it is a more of an advanced level. You have to fill in that LAR by the end of the training. I would encourage you to start filling it in as we go. So if you have some time this week, go to your Easy Course platform. I'm going to send you a video of how to access it. I'm going to send you a video of where you can find your LAR, where you can find all the other resources. So go onto the Easy Course platform, download your LAR, and start filling in page 15 and 16. Very important, team. Please do not sign. So please do not sign your LAR. Wherever it says sign, do not sign using the box. Once you sign, it makes the document that you're not able to edit it anymore. So you're gonna struggle to be able to edit your document and fill in the rest. Wherever it says sign, all you're gonna do is just type your initials, right? So where it says sign, type your initials. Make sure that you save the PDF as a new document, or that you save it over the previous one every single time. The document doesn't automatically save, right? So make sure that you save your PDF as a document every single time you edit it. And that is it for today's session, team. Very, very, very well done. Give yourselves firstly a nice big round of applause. What I am going to ask you to do is we're just going to go really quickly one by one. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, and I'd like to ask you, what was your biggest win of today's session? So Sherry, you were strong with me with that camera on throughout. Thank you so much. Let us know, unmute yourself. Let us know, what was your biggest win of today's session?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So
Thanks a lot for everything.
Pleasure. What was your biggest win of the session? What was like most empowering, or what was the like most exciting thing for you to learn about?
The Pilates principles.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. We'll see you on Friday.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sherry. Mylene. Mylene, let us know. Unmute yourself. Let us know, what was your biggest win of today's session?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes, the 6 principles.
Nice. So also your biggest win, the 6 principles. Which one was your favorite?
The what do you call that? Central control, and breathe.
Nice. Beautiful,
Yes.
Mylene. See you on Friday. Thank you.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Sophia, if you can. And team, you can use this time if you have any questions. Please do ask us any questions if you've got any questions. Okay. While Sophia's busy figuring that out. Okay, there you go. Hi.
Hi for me. It was very nice the initial meeting we had so far. All was very important, even though that we know some of them like by hearing or by observing. I think how to structure a class for me was also important, apart from principles, of course, because it's a thing that we need to master somehow in the near future.
Nice. Beautiful.
Um, by the way, I don't know if I can say this on Friday. This is the only class that I have to miss, unfortunately, because I have other commitments. I don't know if it's going to be recorded as well, this one, or no. But
Yes.
this is the only one that I have to miss on Friday.
Okay, no worries. It will be recorded. Please, please, please catch up with the recording, because it is a very crucial class, because you're going to be learning the first 17 classical movements. It's very, very important. So it will be recorded. You can watch the recording afterwards, but please just do catch up the recording. No worries, Sophia.
Yeah, sure. Just let us know how to navigate through the application if you ever have time or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to be sending a video today. So I'll show you also where you can find all the practical sessions that are recorded and the theory sessions that are recorded. So no worries, you can have access to it all. But just whenever you have some time, make sure that you just catch up on that recording, ideally before the next week.
Sure. But I'll see you on Saturday. Thank you so much.
Perfect, Sophia. Thank you. Bye-bye. Samsung SM, I was waiting the whole session for your name, Samsung. Let us know, who are you? What was your biggest win? If you can unmute yourself. Sherry's asking, the homework should to be finished in this week. No, Sherry, it's not necessary that you finish it this week. This is going to be necessary for the awarding body. So this document only needs to be filled in whenever you want to finish your course. I just encourage you to start filling it in now, because there's a lot to fill in. And if you leave it too long, it becomes very overwhelming, right? So if you can fill it in as you go, I'll give you which pages to fill in, so that by the end of the training, you're just going to have a very little you have to do by yourself. Okay. Patty says, my surroundings is a bit noisy. My biggest win is learning the principles. So excited to learn more about Pilates. Love the session. Thank you. Thank you so much, Patty. Lovely to have you on with us. So Samsung SM not available. Zanette, if you can unmute yourself, let us know your biggest win of the session. Zanette, if you're there, let us know. Okay. Hanan, I see you've just joined us. I don't know how much of the session you've been able to join, but Hanan, if you're able to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself to let us know your biggest win of the session. I saw you were in and out throughout the session. So if you're able to unmute yourself, you can to let us know your biggest win. Okay. So Hanan, Samsung, and Zanette, they're not unmuting, but it's fine. Ladies, you can let us know your biggest win in the chat. Otherwise, ladies,
Sorry, because I am following you. I'm working right now. That's why sometimes I mute myself.
no worries, no worries. Were you able to catch a lot of the session?
Yes, I catch. Yes, I do my best.
Perfect. What was your biggest win of today's?
Because I'm working as physio, as PT with the sports talent students. Sometimes, there is an injury. They come to my clinic. I have to stop everything, treat the patient, come back to you. That's
No worries, dear. What was your
Yeah.
biggest win of what you were able to what you were able to hear, what you're able to join?
I hear most all the lecture, but I sometimes I'm out because I don't because there is some privacy between me and the patient.
Yes.
It's a little bit not allowed here.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
So this question, it's just let us know your biggest win. So from today's training, we're just getting feedback from everyone. What was the thing they loved learning the most about? What was the thing that impacted them the most? Was there anything that you enjoyed learning about today?
Yeah, I enjoy that you have a lot of energy and
Thank you.
yeah, you motivate us to follow the course.
Inshallah. Okay, ladies. Thank you so much, ladies. It has been a pleasure having you here, team. We will see you all either on Friday or Saturday or next week, Monday. Have a lovely, lovely week and see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.